with Russia. On the same day, Kyiv was struck by a heavy Russian air attack. President Trump speaking by phone to Russia's President Putin and later Ukrainian President Zelensky. After failing to end the war on day one of his new term, as he boldly promised during the campaign, Mr. Trump telling Moscow his team is ready to start negotiations to end the war immediately. But U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth quickly tamping down on expectations that all of Ukraine's territory seized by Russia would be in play. The U.S. has poured billions of dollars into Ukraine's war effort since it was invaded by Russian troops in 2022. Today's potential breakthrough happening alongside prisoner releases between the U.S. and Russia. It's where we begin with Gabe Gutierrez.
Tonight, fast-moving diplomacy is signaling a potential breakthrough in the war in Ukraine. After calls with Russian President Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky, President Trump now saying peace negotiations will start immediately.
President Putin wants peace, and President Zelensky wants peace, and I want peace. I just want to see people stop getting killed.
After nearly 3 years, the war is still raging, with Russia launching a new deadly drone and missile attack on Kyiv. But today's developments mark a seismic shift for the U.S., from prioritizing weapons shipments to Ukraine during the Biden administration to now actively negotiating an end to the war. The Kremlin even inviting Trump to Moscow.
Do we expect that he'll come here and I'll go there, and we're going to meet also probably in Saudi Arabia the first time we'll meet him.
The president in the Oval Office swearing in his newly confirmed Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. But even before negotiations begin, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth cautioning that Ukraine will likely have to give up the territory that Russia seized when it invaded Crimea in 2014.
Returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective.
The president was asked, did Hegseth take Ukraine's territorial integrity off the table?
No, I haven't done that. I'm backing Ukraine. I'm backing Ukraine. Don't say that.
The president saying NATO membership, a key Ukraine demand, was not practical, and he was pressed on whether he views Ukraine as an equal member in the peace process.
It's an interesting question. I think they have to make peace.
It all comes amid a flurry of prisoner releases. Today, 3 detainees released by Russia's close ally Belarus, including an unnamed U.S. citizen. Overnight, a dramatic homecoming for American schoolteacher Mark Fogel.
I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now.
Who literally kissed the ground after the Trump administration secured his release from Russia, where the U.S. says he'd been wrongfully detained for 3.5 years.
I am not a hero in this at all. And President Trump is a hero.
A U.S. official telling NBC News convicted money launderer Alexander Vinnik is being sent back to Russia in exchange for Fogel's release.
Gabe, we can turn back to these peace negotiations over the Ukraine war. President Trump indicating this will all start as soon as Friday.
Yes, Lester. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio are expected to meet with Zelensky Friday in Germany. Meanwhile, President Trump is not committed to visiting Ukraine, but he said he'd think about it. Lester.
All right, Gabe Gutierrez, thank you. 3 monster storm systems are bringing heavy snow and extreme temperatures across the U.S. Maggie Vespa joining us now live from Chicago. Maggie, this is likely to be the city's biggest snowstorm of the season.
Yeah, Lester, that's right. Certain areas could see up to 8 inches, which would clobber snowfall totals so far this winter. In the meantime, this same system we're now seeing reports is being blamed for knocking out power for more than 100,000 people in Virginia. All this amid a relentless week of severe weather.